Hello and welcome to Tête à Tête, France 24's flagship interview show. Our guest today is Massad Boulos. He is the U.S. Senior Advisor for African and Arab Affairs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
A few days ago, there was an important meeting at the U.S. Embassy in Madrid, Spain, over the issue of Western Sahara. It's been there for many years. There were representatives from the United States, from the United Nations, from Mauritania, from the Polisario Front, and also the Foreign Minister of Morocco and of Algeria. Is there a possible deal on the horizon on this very old issue?
Thank you very much for this important question, because as we all know, this is a conflict that is 50 years old now, and we would love to see it resolved. And President Trump also would love to see this resolved. You know, he's been working on this since his first term, and his proclamation in 2020 was a historic proclamation, and it led, I think, to the Security Council resolution in October 2797, which by all means is a historic resolution. It was a resolution that was welcomed and celebrated to some extent by both parties, but it was welcomed by both sides. And this is rare. When you have a Security Council resolution that is more or less accepted and appreciated by the two sides to a conflict, it means it's a good resolution. So we're proud the United States is the pen holder on the Western Sahara file, as you know. It is our duty to convene from time to time and make all the necessary efforts and take necessary steps towards the finding a solution, which is dictated by the resolution 2797. So we put out statements, a couple of statements on that, but we can't go beyond those statements because we highly respect the parties' wishes.
But clearly the fact that the Algerians participated, including the foreign minister, you went to Algiers just a few days before that meeting in Madrid. You met the president, Abdelmajid Tebboune. This means that Algeria is changing its position, that they are on board with the Moroccan autonomy plan that is the central reference now of the solution.
Yes, as I said, we are guided by the Security Council 2797, which is not necessarily the U.S. position. The U.S. position is probably more advanced than the resolution.
Right.
The resolution was quite moderate, and that's why it was welcomed by everybody. The U.S. position is quite different. Our position is very clear. But now we're operating under the umbrella of this resolution. What I can say is that Algeria is absolutely helpful. They're being a very good partner, as they've been, at least with the Trump administration now.
Because they were opposed to this idea, so they've changed position, yes.
No, we're not going into the content of the deliberations or any details. If we go back to the language of the resolution, it talks about the plan, the autonomy plan, as basis. So let's leave it at that, and we're working under that umbrella.
You are planning to convene a summit, apparently, in the coming months in Washington, maybe, to seal a framework agreement. Is this the plan that within several months this will happen?
Well, we're looking at many scenarios, really, but we're engaging, again, which is our duty as per the resolution. We're engaging with all parties. And by the way, the parties you named are mentioned in the resolution. The resolution mentions specifically four parties: Morocco, Frente Polisario, Algeria, and Mauritania. So it's not our initiative. Those are the parties mentioned by the resolution. So we have to work with all four and try to come up with something. But at the end of the day, let me just say this. And I appreciate your efforts at getting more, but let me say this. Whatever solution and outcome, it's going to have to be mutually acceptable, accepted by both sides.
But it's on the horizon.
By the two main sides. We hope so.
It's within reach. I mean, as you said, decades, yes.
It's been 50 years.
Yes.
We hope so. We hope so. I think the people have suffered enough. I mean, you have people in the camps now, in the Tindouf camp, for the last 50 years that have not been able to see their relatives on the other side of the berm. So let's hope we can find a solution.
But for the U.S., clearly, Western Sahara is Morocco.
Absolutely. The U.S. position is very clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to get to another thing you've worked on, DRC-Rwanda. There was a deal signed in Washington. It unraveled within hours, I should say. The situation on the ground is back essentially to a lot of fighting, instability. Would you say it's a failure, this deal now?
Oh, not at all, not at all.
Why not?
We said from the beginning that the Washington Accord is just the starting point. It's not the end game. It's the starting point. The end game is to have full peace and stability in the region.
Happening.
But that's a process. It's a process that's going to take some time. The Washington Accord was the launchpad of this process. And the beauty of the Washington Accord is that it has built-in mechanisms, several mechanisms addressing various aspects of this conflict. Plus, it's complementary to the Doha track, which is led by our Qatari partners, in full support with the full support of the United States, of course, and other partners, such as the AU, for example. So that's absolutely complementary because it addresses the issue between the M23 and the DRC government. This was not really covered by the Washington Accords. The Washington Accord was between Rwanda and the DRC. But I see what you're saying. We were extremely disappointed by what happened within few days. But can you imagine if we didn't have an accord? I mean, the situation would have been much more chaotic.
Who's to blame? Who's to blame?
No, obviously, this was the M23 and Rwanda, backed by Rwanda, who took over the city of Uvira.
So
no, it's very clear.
President Kagame betrayed the confidence of the Trump administration and President Trump himself.
We can say that there was a breach. In our opinion, it was a serious breach of the Washington Accord.
Do you still trust President Kagame?
We hope so. We hope so.
But you're
We're engaging with him. We are yet to see some actual steps in the battlefield. What we've seen, having said that, let me just be clear. They did take over, the M23 group backed by Rwanda took over the city of Uvira. After we engaged with President Kagame, they withdrew from the city of Uvira.
Not fully. But
not fully. They still hold some hilltops around the city. We know. They even went a little bit further south, and then they went back up. So there have been at least some action taken
Should there
since
be
we
sanctions
engaged.
Against President Kagame? There's pressure on Congress to slap sanctions on Rwanda and maybe on him.
You've seen in the public hearing that took place at the House of Reps. Recently, you've seen our U.S. officials give testimony. We've also briefed Congress. I've personally briefed Congress on this matter just a few weeks ago. And we've announced those events. So the United States has a number of tools available at its disposal. We're going to have to take some measures in
President
the
Kagame
near future.
says he doesn't care. He doesn't care about sanctions.
We heard his statements. We will see. And as you know, this won't be new. The United States already took several actions, including just a few months ago, I think back in September or so, we imposed sanctions on a number of individuals and entities involved in this illicit trade,
Could it
for
be
example.
the president?
And prior to that, we imposed on James Kabarabi.
I know,
who
he's
was
very close.
Absolutely.
So could it be Kagame himself?
I mean, I can't speculate. This is a decision. This will be a collective decision that we will have to take. It won't be one individual who decides, unless it's the president of the United States. It's not out of the question. But there are a number of possibilities and tools available to the United States. Let me be very clear. The moment our President Trump, signed that agreement as a witness, of course, he's not a party to the agreement, he signed as a witness. So the United States is a witness, and President Trump personally is a witness. That's a commitment from our side, and it's a commitment from Rwandan side and from the Congolese side. So all three presidents committed to each other to adhere and respect this agreement. We won't take it lightly.
Okay. Last issue, Sudan. There's talk of a tentative peace deal through the mediation led by the US, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt. Is this realistic, given what we're seeing again on the ground, the vicious fighting and all the enmity? I mean, the parties have not apparently agreed to this deal, or have they?
That's a very legitimate question and concern, of course. We, especially when we see what's going on in the battlefield, definitely. We have not yet officially presented any final plan. Let's not forget that there are many other actors involved in this who can be quite helpful. Let's not forget the quintet, who can do a very good job. And I think they're already doing a good job on the political track, because whatever we do on the humanitarian side and the ceasefire aspect, the single most important is going to be the political track, because we want to ensure that we have this transition to a civilian-led government.
Just as a conclusion, do you think there is hope that on the political track, both parties will agree to cease the hostilities and work together, given what they've been doing to each other and saying about each other?
I think so. It won't be that easy, but we're going to need the UN Security Council, and we've already made an announcement. We have a session coming up next week at the UN, which will be presided by the Honorable Secretary, and we will be taking the UN Security Council as we will get a resolution eventually to take that as a legal cover and umbrella, to make sure that all of these are enforced and implemented.
Massad Boulos, thank you very much for being our guest, and thank you all for watching this edition of Tête à Tête here on France 24.